Alright, so this is going to be more for the people that I play with who view these videos. Um, Sorry about my voice, by the way. I'm not feeling too well, but I'm going to do a quick little settings video. I've updated some of my settings, so anybody that watches these videos, if you want to take some of my advice, I would not call myself a pro player at all, not even a good player. I have fun when I play. I do what I can, and just have fun with my friends and things like that. I'm not trying to go pro or anything. But for anybody that views my videos, you just want to see what settings I do rock, because I do rock some different settings compared to most of the people I play with. So let's get right into it. Okay. So starting with the controller settings, right off the bat, this is the biggest difference I play with, which is my button layout preset is flipped, which this only flips the buttons I shoot with. If you just press square, it flips them back. So pressing square flips it. So this pretty much you can see on the right side. I use R1 and L1 to aim and shoot, while the R2 and L2 use my tacticals, my heartbeats, your throwables, all that stuff. Reason I switched this, and it took a lot of muscle memory to do, but I switched this because I was working on the FAL to get it gold. It was the last one I needed for all my ARs to get platinum. And so I flipped this, but I decided to keep it on even for Warzone. And I've noticed when I shoot with any type of burst, any type of semi-automatic or pistols, my fire rate just completely has gone way up. Um, and that's because the R1 you don't have to push as deep as the R2, and I noticed that it felt as though my gun would quote unquote jam when I would use R2 because I can't rapid fire with R2. That's just my personal preference. So I have flipped it to R1 and I can spam this like crazy, so it shoots pistols, semi-automatics, etc. much faster. Here, dead zone I put down to 0.10. Um, my horizontal and vertical stick sensitivity are at 12. This is something that you would really need to adjust to. I would take it in steps, so if you're down to a 4 or 5, which I feel like most people might be, what I did was put in increments of like 2, maybe 3 at a time, test it out for a few days, and then bust it up. I was running 20 for a period of time, but then once Warzone dropped, I dropped it back down to a 12. This is the most comfortable that I'm at. It lets me move a lot faster, obviously. Um, Moving down to ADS sensitivity. ADS is aim down sight speed. Um, these, I think, by default are above 1.0. I brought these down to for both. Low zoom, which is just your typical optic or iron sight. This will slow it down to keep you more pinned on a target. Whereas if it's above 1, I feel like it's a bit too fast, where you can kind of be zigzag on a target at sometimes, especially if they're moving or walking. And then high zoom for like your VLK or your high zoom scopes for sniping and stuff. But it wouldn't be a bad idea to bump this up just a little bit as well to like a 9.92. Aim response curve type. Not gonna lie, I don't fully understand this, but I realize it's usually by default set on standard. Whereas I put it to dynamic, and I felt that my aiming has gradually been more accurate and a lot more easy for me to kind of keep on an enemy target as well. But it's a more of a less important thing you may or may not want to change. Controller vibration, turn that off. I actually just turned this off today, and I played a couple of rounds. Huge difference. It's gonna feel weird though, but not in a bad way. Just because if you've had your vibration on, yes, it brings more life to the game, I guess, but it also messes up with your hands, which also messes up with you being steady on an enemy target. This, yeah, I know a lot of pros go to contextual tap or tap to use. That's especially for Warzone, where instead of holding down to open a crate or pick up a weapon, you just tap your square button, which then would make your reload having to hold down. Personally, this is where a lot of people would disagree with me, a lot of the pros or whatever. But this just wasn't for me, I guess. Yes, I understand it, but I always just found myself picking up the wrong things in the middle of a gunfight and just completely getting messed up over it. So I have kept it to reload when I want to tap it and holding down to use. Slide behavior, if you watch me play, I slide a lot. Usually I think by default it's hold. There's a huge difference on that where again I use circle to slide. As you're sprinting, just sliding just makes it a big difference to keep you a lot more maneuverable and get you moving faster if you have gunfire shooting at you. So automatic tactical sprint, I've had a few friends not like this, but I've personally been on this for a long time. Pretty much instead of having to hold down on your L3 button or this, instead of messing up your sticks to deplete over time, automatic tactical sprint is a huge thing you should enable. Moving on to general, this is, so I guess film grain, I don't remember exactly where it's set at by default, but I took that completely off again to add to the scenic parts of this game. Subtitles I never have on. I see a lot of people have them on, but I don't really care for it. Colorblind type, I think this again adds to the more colorful scenic parts of the maps to just give you a better view of everything. This was my personal preference. Again, every eye is different, so you just want to make sure that whatever, just look through this. Like that I hate. That's a little bit funky colored to me, and I thought this is what, and again, this is what my eyes have adjusted to at this point, so this is definitely what I want to set. But play around with that, see what makes you more comfortable with the view of what your game looks like. Don't know if I changed this at any point, but it's on interface, so I just kept it on that. World motion blur, definitely disable this. It's, I think, by default on enabled, but this also then won't give you, you can already see on the right side, it's gonna be a big difference when you're moving your weapon around and stuff, and that same goes with weapon motion blur. Disable that. Minimap shape, by default it's on round. I love the square, it lets you see a lot more of the map, especially for Warzone. Doesn't really matter in multiplayer as much to me, but if you're always playing Warzone, you once in a while play multiplayer, might as well just keep that on square. Mini wrap rotation, I kept that on enabled. I tried disabled for a little bit, did not like it at all, so I kept that on enabled, so it still will move around with you as you turn and things like that. Compass, I think this is default letters, so you can see north, south, east, west. Audio, so big difference. A lot of people will go 50-50 between boost low and boost high. Boost high I actually tried a couple of nights ago, and I did not like it. It sounded a lot different. I don't think it's a bad thing to put on, but boost low is what I've been rocking, so I can really hear these footsteps. If you watch some of my videos, you can probably see proof of me calling out for people I'm spectating, like, yo, he's to your right, he's to your left, he's up below, above you, and things like that, and it's because of boost low. Music, I hear a lot of my friends rocking their music in the background. We gotta turn this off. Again, that just enhances you to be able to hear footsteps. The only times I probably hear music in Warzone is when I'm doing like a recon, but that's about it. Everything else, when I hear gameplay of people having music in the background, I'm shocked at the difference that makes. So that's just a little settings update. Again, if you disagree with some of the things I do, that's just what I'm comfortable with, and maybe some of my friends can take up on this. The default flipped where I shoot with R1, L1, I think most people will not agree with me on that. That's just something that I accustomed to and built my muscle memory with over the past maybe 2 months. I've been doing it. And so that's just my suggestion there, but I hope this was a little bit helpful, and yep, enjoy some more content in the near future. Thank you. Yeah,
Hey,
hit
he
him once.
disappeared, but there's still somebody here. Careful.
You tried.
Yep.
You tried on me.